Virgo, can I ask you something that might feel a little too real? Have you been feeling like you're doing everything right, but something still feels wrong? Like you're checking every box, showing up, holding it all together. And yet, inside, there's this subtle ache you can't name. You smile in public, you get the job done, you keep the peace. But the truth is your soul has been whispering, maybe even screaming beneath the surface. It's like you're standing at a crossroads, but not the dramatic kind. No, this one is quiet. Still, invisible to everyone but you. On the outside, your life looks stable. But inside, something is shifting. Something sacred. And that's why you're here. Not by accident, but because the timing is precise. Your spirit is ready to face what it's been postponing. And the universe is ready to meet you right there with 3 doors opening at the same time. And Virgo, these doors are not ordinary, not. One is the return of something you thought was lost forever: money, a career spark, an investment that suddenly comes back to life. Another is a subtle but soul-shaking goodbye, a funeral not of a person necessarily, but of a version of you that has run its course. And the third, it's a sacred bond forming, maybe with someone new, maybe with yourself, but it's real, grounded, and deeply aligned with who you're becoming. I know you're not here out of boredom or curiosity. You're here because something inside you is tired of carrying weight that isn't yours. You've been holding your breath for too long. This message is an exhale. It's the first real breath in a long time. You've done the work. You've been patient. You've stayed composed while chaos swirled around you. But this season, it's not about holding it together anymore. It's about letting it unfold. And Virgo, here's the truth you may have been avoiding. You're not breaking down. You're breaking open. There's a difference. The cracks in your old structure aren't signs of failure. They're the signs that the old shell is no longer big enough to hold the version of you that's emerging. What's coming isn't a disruption, it's an upgrade. But you can't move forward while clutching what no longer serves. So stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear isn't just content. It's a ceremony. It's a gentle but undeniable turning point. One where your clarity returns, your peace returns, and your power, quiet but unshakable, rises from within. This is the beginning of something you've secretly hoped for, even if you didn't know how to name it until now. And here's the part most people don't talk about. Even the strong ones get tired. Even the most organized souls, yes. Like you. Virgo hit moments where their systems no longer feel sustainable. You've likely been the one everyone counts on. The calm in the storm, the problem solver. But who solves it for you when your inner compass feels foggy? That's why this moment matters. Because it's not about escaping your life, it's about reclaiming your place in it, on your terms. Let's begin. Let's be honest. Virgo, you've been carrying more than your fair share for a long time. You show up, you deliver, you organize, you clean up the mess even when you didn't make it. People see the polished version of you. They see the schedule, the follow-through, the logic, the calm. But they don't see the exhaustion underneath. They don't see the emotional knots you've been quietly untangling alone at night. They don't hear the questions that keep spinning in your head long after the lights go out. You've convinced yourself that staying quiet is strength, that being the one who adapts, who understands, who steps back for the sake of peace, makes you better, wiser, kinder, and in many ways, it does. But what happens when that peace costs you your clarity? What happens when you've made so many adjustments for others that you no longer know what truly fits you? That's not just burnout, Virgo. That's soul fatigue. There's a version of you that knows how to speak up, that remembers what it feels like to be energized, not just functional, but over time. That voice has been silenced by responsibilities. Maybe you stayed in a job too long because it was the right thing. Or you maintained a friendship out of history, not harmony. Or maybe you kept saying yes just because saying no felt like betrayal. And here's the truth, most people won't say out loud being dependable should never come at the cost of your identity. You weren't born to be a background character in your own life story. You were meant to be present fully without guilt. But guilt is tricky, isn't it? It shows up in the form of overworking, overgiving, overstaying. Virgo, this is the chapter where that cycle ends, not with drama, not with resentment, but with quiet, grounded awareness that you are allowed to evolve. You're not required to justify your growth. You don't need permission to choose yourself. This is the moment where you stop negotiating with your own intuition. And if you've forgotten what your truth sounds like, don't worry. It's still there waiting for you to listen. The world may have praised your composure, Virgo, but your soul craves honesty. And the first truth is this: you're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you've been strong for too long, without a pause. It's time to take your power back, not by shouting, but by standing still and listening, really listening to what you've been suppressing. And once you do, the next chapter won't feel like a burden. It'll feel like coming home. Virgo, let's slow down for a second. Close your eyes if you can, or just soften your gaze. Take one deep breath, slow and steady. Let it move through your chest, your belly, all the way down into the ground beneath you. You don't have to rush through this part. In fact, this might be the most important pause you've taken in a long while. Right now, Archangel Raphael is stepping forward, not with drama, but with that soft presence you only notice when you're really still. He's holding the color green, not just any green, but a healing emerald light. This light isn't loud or blinding. It's like the first light of dawn after a long, sleepless night. Calm, reassuring, and it's meant just for you. Now, place your hand gently over your stomach, your solar plexus. That's the part of you that holds confidence, direction, and your personal power. Maybe it's felt empty lately. Maybe you've been doubting yourself, second-guessing every move, trying to do it all without anyone noticing the cracks. That's okay. This is where we begin again. Picture that green light slowly swirling around your hand. It's not burning. It's soothing like a warm towel fresh from the dryer. This light knows where to go. It moves with intelligence. It flows around your belly, then expands into your chest, your shoulders, your back. With every breath, it clears the static. It reminds your body that it's safe to be soft, that you don't have to hold your breath anymore. Virgo, healing doesn't have to look dramatic. You don't have to cry on a mountaintop or go on some spiritual retreat. Sometimes healing starts with just saying, I'm tired of pretending I'm fine. I need a reset. I need a breath. I need myself. Now, Archangel Shamu joins. His energy is different, a little more emotional, heart-based. He brings pink light, the kind that holds comfort and gentle love. Together, Raphael and Shamu begin to restore what life may have drained out of you. You don't need to do anything. Just receive. Let their light untangle what's been tight. Let their calm show your nervous system that not everything needs your constant vigilance. And if you've been feeling a knot in your stomach or waking up with heaviness in your chest, this is why. You've absorbed too much. You've carried more than you should. But today, you get to hand it back to Source, to the universe, to your guides. They're here, and they've got you. Let this moment be sacred, even if it's silent, especially if it's silent. Because Virgo, in this silence, your power returns, not the power to control everything, but the power to stand soft, open, and real. This is how you begin again, not by forcing, but by allowing. This might feel strange at first, especially if you're used to fixing, solving, organizing. But not everything needs a checklist. Not every breakthrough needs to be earned. Sometimes, the most profound shifts happen when you simply allow yourself to receive. That's the medicine here. Not action, but surrender. And you're safe to do that now. Virgo, let's talk about something that probably feels a little foreign, receiving money with ease. I know you like things to be earned. You take pride in working hard, building something brick by brick. You're not afraid of effort. In fact, you trust it. But here's a truth you might need to hear right now. Not everything has to be earned through struggle. Sometimes, abundance is about alignment, not effort. And when the two meet, your hard work and divine timing, something incredible happens. I see an image, a suitcase, closed but glowing, sitting at your feet. It's not locked. It's not out of reach. It's just been waiting for the right moment. And that moment is now. This suitcase represents an opportunity. Maybe it's money that was delayed, a tax refund, a loan forgiveness, a forgotten commission. Or maybe it's bigger, an inheritance, a settlement, a sudden yes from a place where you had long given up. It could also be a new income stream. You may feel drawn to start something on the side, something that uses both your skills and your soul. Think consulting, creative work, writing, even coaching. Or maybe it's investing, not gambling, but intentional, strategic investing. Stocks, tech shares, real estate, anything where your Virgo discernment can thrive. You don't need to be a financial expert to grow wealth. You just need a plan and the courage to follow it. This season, your chart lights up the house of passive income, legacy, and long-term security. That means what you set into motion now will echo for years to come. If you've been thinking of reaching out to a financial advisor, starting a savings challenge, or even researching investment platforms, this is your green light. Not because money makes you whole, but because it gives you freedom. And freedom is what your soul has been craving. Here's another whisper. Try your luck. Yes, Virgo, even you miss Mr. Logic. Buy that Powerball ticket. Pick numbers that mean something to you, birthdays, angel numbers, anything with energy behind it. Not because you're desperate, but because you're signaling to the universe that you're open, that you're available for miracles, that you trust. Let's be clear, this isn't about waiting around for a windfall. It's about aligning your vibration with abundance. When you take practical steps toward your financial health while staying open to magic, the universe responds, and sometimes it doesn't come through the source you expect. It could be a refund, a rebate, a raise, a new contract, or even a stranger's kindness that shifts everything. You've given so much without keeping score. You've worked hard, stayed late, been the dependable one. Now, it's time for the scales to balance. Let it happen. Don't block the blessing by questioning if you deserve it. You do. So here's your action step. Write down 3 financial goals for the next 90 days. They could be as simple as saving $500, starting a Roth IRA, or making your first trade. Then, speak them out loud. And if you're feeling bold, drop them in the comments. Declare them. Virgo, money is not the enemy of your spiritual life. It's the amplifier. It gives your quiet voice a megaphone. It allows your healing gifts to reach further. And most importantly, it reminds you that being supported doesn't make you selfish, it makes you sustainable. Virgo, let's talk about love, not the fairy tale version, but the kind of love your heart quietly craves. The kind that doesn't demand you to perform, fix, or prove anything. The kind that feels like a safe place to land after a long day. You've spent so much of your life showing up for others, making sure they feel seen, supported, understood. But how often has someone done that for you? You're not asking for much, just consistency, honesty, a space where you can put your guard down without feeling like you're risking everything. But maybe that space has been hard to find. Maybe you've been in relationships where you were the one holding it all together. Or maybe you've been alone, telling yourself it's better to be single than to settle. And you're right. It is. But something is shifting. There's a new kind of energy entering your field now. A connection that isn't built on adrenaline or emotional guessing games. Someone is approaching not with chaos, but with calm. They might not arrive with fireworks, but they'll feel like clarity. They'll feel like, finally, you can exhale. This person, whether they're new or someone returning with a new heart, sees you, not just the version of you that works hard and keeps it together, but the soft, uncertain, deeply thoughtful soul underneath. The one who's been waiting to be chosen, not for how useful they are, but for how deeply they feel. And if you're already in a relationship, this is your moment to return to tenderness. Maybe things have gone quiet. Maybe you've both been tired, focused on surviving more than connecting. But if there's still a spark, still a reaching for each other, even in the silence, then there's something worth rekindling. Love doesn't need to be loud to be real. Sometimes it whispers through a morning cup of coffee, a shared glance after a long day, a hand that reaches for yours without being asked. These small moments, they are the foundation, not the grand gestures, the daily remembering that you're not alone. Virgo, you're not hard to love. You're just deep, and not everyone is ready for depth. But someone is. Someone who doesn't just tolerate your complexity, but honors it. Someone who doesn't need you to be perfect. Just honest. Just present. Just real. So here's your heart's invitation. Let yourself be loved, not for what you do, but for who you are. Let someone see your quiet, your structure, your care, and call it beautiful. Because it is, and so are you. And even if that love hasn't shown up yet, don't close the door. The timing of love isn't meant to rush. It arrives when you've made space for it emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And right now, the universe is helping you do just that. Healing what's been wounded, softening what's gone rigid, preparing you to receive what matches the love you've been giving all along. Virgo, we've reached a turning point now. This isn't just another chapter. This is the moment where one story ends and another begins, not because you planned it that way, but because life is gently insisting on it. And here's the truth, you don't have to be falling apart for something to be over. Sometimes, an ending happens in silence. Sometimes it happens with grace. Sometimes the goodbye is just a deep breath and a quiet decision to not keep pretending. There is a funeral happening within you, but not of tragedy. This is a funeral of what no longer fits, a burial of the parts of you that have carried too much for too long. The people pleaser, the overachiever, the version of you who stayed silent just to avoid conflict, the version who waited for permission to choose yourself. Lay them to rest with compassion. They tried their best, but their time is done. Picture it like this. You're standing in a clearing at dawn. You've dug a small space in the earth, and one by one, you're placing the outdated versions of yourself into the ground, not to forget them, but to honor what they taught you. They helped you survive. But now, you're ready to live. You place a flower over the soil. You whisper thank you. And then you walk away not with bitterness, but with freedom. Because just a few steps ahead, there's something else waiting. A wedding? Not with another person, but with yourself. Your true self. The one who's been calling out from the background, waiting to be chosen. The self who doesn't compromise her values to keep the peace. The self who doesn't shrink just to make others comfortable. The self who knows her worth without needing anyone else to confirm it. This is your inner vow, your ceremony of reclamation. Imagine it, you standing tall, no mask, no pretense, no more pretending you're okay when you're not. You're looking in the mirror, not with criticism, but with reverence. You say, I choose me. I promise to honor my truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable. I promise to protect my peace. I promise to live fully, not just function. And in doing so, everything begins to shift. It may not happen overnight, but slowly your outside world will begin to match your inner clarity. The wrong people will fade. The right ones will appear. Doors that once stayed shut will begin to crack open, and the blessings, they'll start to flow. Not because you chased them, but because you finally became a match for them. You see, Virgo, endings don't have to be loud to be real, and beginnings don't need a parade to be sacred. This quiet transformation you're walking through right now, it's holy. You are being reborn, not into someone new, but into someone true. And that, more than anything, is worth celebrating. And the best part, you don't have to explain this to anyone. This ceremony was never for them. It was always for you, for your healing, for your becoming. And in that private, powerful act of choosing yourself, you give the world a version of you that's no longer surviving. She's thriving. That version is already rising. Can you feel her? Before we wrap this up, Virgo, there's one more truth you need to hear, and it might hit you deeper than anything we've said so far. Your life has never been small, but you've been living it as if it was, not because you lack ambition, not because you lack skill, but because somewhere along the line, you started believing that being too much would make you unlovable, that wanting more peace, more freedom, more depth would make you selfish, that showing the full range of who you are would scare people away. So you learned to shrink, to round your edges, to make things easier for everyone else. You watered yourself down to be digestible, to be tolerated. But Virgo, you were never meant to be tolerated. You were meant to be experienced. And the truth is, you've been carrying a fire that you never gave yourself permission to burn with, a vision you tucked away for later, a voice you lowered because you didn't want to be the one who made things uncomfortable. But here's the plot twist. That voice, that fire, that unspoken truth, it was never the problem. It was the map. The reason you felt off, the reason you've been drained, is because you've been living disconnected from your own power. You've been wearing masks you outgrew years ago, keeping peace in rooms that no longer deserve your presence, pouring into people who forgot you're not an endless well. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to be real, to be honest, to be so deeply yourself that it activates something in others. You're here to disrupt the narrative that healing has to be pretty, or that worth is tied to productivity. So let me ask you something raw, and I want you to answer it, if only in your mind. What would your life look like if you stopped betraying yourself for comfort? What would change if you believed that your desires weren't too big, but perfectly timed? What would happen if today you stopped explaining and started embodying? This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the part of you that's been waiting in the quiet, the part that says, I know who I am. I know what I want. And I'm not sorry for any of it. This is your moment, not the one where everything suddenly gets easy, but the one where everything finally gets honest. The moment where you take back your permission slip to dream, to speak, to shift, to say, actually, I do want more, and I'm allowed to have it. And that, Virgo, is the moment that changes everything. Because once you reclaim that part of you, there is no going back. There's only forward from your truth, for your life, on your terms. Let the world adjust. Let the people who only knew your silence be surprised by your volume. Let those who only knew your giving learn to meet you in balance. You don't owe anyone your burnout. You owe yourself your becoming. And no, it won't be easy, but it will be real. And real is enough. So Virgo, here we are. You've made it through the noise, the clearing, the silence, and maybe for the first time in a long time, you're not just hearing these words, you're feeling them. In your chest, in your gut, in the place that logic can't always reach, but truth always does. You've done enough thinking. You've done enough planning, analyzing, over-analyzing. This chapter, this new season of your life, it's not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be honest with yourself, with your wants, with your needs, and above all, with your worth. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not broken. You're becoming. And the beauty of becoming is that it doesn't happen all at once. It happens in whispers, in quiet choices, in moments where you finally say, I don't need to hold this anymore. I'm allowed to let it go. And when you do, even if it's just for a moment, you feel the weight lift. You feel the breath return. Let this be your moment to rest in that truth, that everything you've walked through hasn't been punishment, it's been preparation. Every door that closed wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every time you were left behind, forgotten, overlooked, it wasn't because you weren't enough. It's because the space that truly sees you was still being prepared. Now, it's ready, and so are you. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, pause. Put one hand on your heart and the other on your belly. Take one slow, intentional breath and whisper to yourself, I am safe to trust my timing. I am allowed to want more. I am not here to live small. If that stirred something in you, good. Let it. That's your soul nodding. That's your inner self rising. And if you're feeling bold, write it down in the comments. Let the universe see it. Let someone else who's watching feel less alone because of your truth. And if this message found you at the right time, if it cracked something open or made you breathe deeper, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone else may be one video away from remembering who they are too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself. This is not the end. It's the beginning. And Virgo, you're not walking into it alone. You're walking into it ready. Let's go, because the more you live in your truth, the more others are inspired to do the same. You become a quiet revolution. You become a permission slip for authenticity. And this world needs more of that, more of you, exactly as you are.